We're talking about some potential names that could throw their hat in the ring for this September leadership race. Some of the names being touted in Japanese local media include the very popular digital minister Kono Taro, also a former defence minister Shigeru Ishiba. These are some of the names that are out there at the moment, but of course we'll have to wait to see that playing out. I did receive an analyst note from Japan just a few moments ago where he has described these two as being slightly less dovish vis-a-vis Fumio Kishida. If you'll remember, Kono Taro, I should say, actually prior to the July BOJ meeting, put out some comments in an interview basically talking about the weakness of the yen and saying that the BOJ, seemingly suggesting the BOJ should raise rates in order to tackle that issue. But let's have a look if there are more flashes coming through. We've got the Prime Minister Fumio Kishida also saying that he will fully support the new leader and that he's made this decision considering what's best for the public. And as of course we've highlighted, he is deeply, deeply unpopular. His rating in terms of the polling we've seen back in June sitting at around that 10.4% level. But let's not forget, the general election will be next year. We don't know when that will be necessarily, but the ruling LDP is not really at risk of losing the next election because the opposition in Japan is just so fractured. But surely they would be wanting a leader at the top that can instill confidence in the fourth largest economy as well, right?
You just mentioned some of the potential candidates. Perhaps someone who is a bit more digitally savvy would be good for the general public, given that they've just phased out using floppy disks and they've just put new notes into circulation. I mean, you know, we'll get with the program with the tap as you pay with your phone, but
maybe right. That's the
he is also, can I say, the person that was at the helm of phasing out floppy disks within government agencies. So very popular man, I have to say. Yeah.
No, I think popularity goes a long way, you know, and this is more a broader point on politicking than anything else in terms of just having a leader who has the masses with him rather than a leader where there is lack of confidence. So just even if it doesn't mean material change in policy, even if it means that the LDP does come back for another term, like you said, that we would not see a fractured mandate next year in the re-election bid. The fact of the matter is, if people like their prime minister and if there is more stability at the top in terms of the leadership run, and the policy that they can implement over a period of time, then that policy continuity by itself is something that investors really like. I mean, Japan either way has been doing quite well for itself, but economically it's been a struggle for the economy at the core, right? With the growth numbers not looking that great, and the consumer pretty much suffering in a way because of higher imported costs and imported prices and pricing power not being there with the consumer. So for all of them, they need a leader they need to look up to and feel positive about. So I think from that perspective, it might be a welcome change.
But we also can't rule out the legacy, and as you've sort of taken on the Japan beat, I mean, I'm sure you've been looking into what Kishida really stands for and what he's done for the country over the years. I mean, you know, a lot of leaders had to steer their economies and their people out of COVID with stimulus, and also what he's done as far as that household income is concerned and those wages. So what do you believe that, you know, some of his legacies will be?
Well, I think on the one hand, the things we've been talking about, right, this push for real wages growth, the virtuous economic cycle, he's really taken that on. Also in the last 3 years, still the push in terms of those corporate governance reforms as well within the country. He was also the proponent for the new NISA, right, as well. So again, going back to the note that I did receive, you know, you've got people saying here that political uncertainty, and we can kind of relate this back to what's happening stateside as well, it's not good for risk assets, potentially not good for Japanese stock markets. And as we're seeing at the moment, the Nikkei 225 has fallen by 0.2%. So these are some of the things I think to keep in mind, you know, what will be the reaction. I think, Tanvir, you want to come in?
Yeah, I just want to come in, Lynn, because I want to add a line and I want your reaction to it. Kishida is saying they are looking to make full exit from a deflation-prone economy. We must promote wage, investment growth, and achieve target to expand the size of Japan's GDP to 600 trillion yen. So he's making some strong economic commitments out here, right? I was not expecting that. This was more good. I was expecting this to be more like a bye-bye speech, and then, the new leader is going to come. This is going to be the plan going forward. But he's also laying out what the LDP's long-term economic policy goals are going to look like.
And don't forget, of course, he appointed Ueda under his leadership as well.
That's a very important point. Thanks for bringing that in.